Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and co-hosting with me tonight are Bill Hannon and Kathy Costa. If you notice there's a change, it's because there is. It was time for it.
Yeah, definitely a time.
And we're pleased to have as our guest Angel Carroll.
Yes, thank you.
You know, it's tempting to say it the other way around.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, and the Carroll's double R and double L,
Yes.
so it stands out.
Yeah, it does.
So I understand you do tarot cards and runes, and what else was there?
Oracle cards.
Oracle cards. Okay, I'm big on oracle cards. I'm curious, which ones do you enjoy?
Oh, I like a variety. I especially the animal. Anything animal-based, those are my favorite. I have multiple decks of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the animal energy.
I started with the animals.
Oh, very nice.
You know, with the first, character, you could say,
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
So
They're
what-
easy to get into.
Which cards did you start with first?
Yeah, well, first, thank you guys for having me on your show. And I actually started with some Doreen Virtue cards. They were angel cards.
Yeah, right.
And I have 2 children, so when they were little, I actually made sure we all had a deck that we were using. Once I started, I felt like it was important that they do it. And the Doreen Virtue, they have a cherub deck.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's a small-sized card.
Yeah, it's meant for children.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I didn't buy it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, and the messages are so sweet, and they say things like, have confidence in yourself, And then that was for my youngest, and then my older child, I got her a mermaid deck, because I thought something fantastical might be more appealing for her age. And as for me, I liked the angel decks, but tarot cards are my passion. Yeah, the Radiant Rider-Waite is probably my favorite deck.
Okay, so you use those more than you do the angel
Oh,
cards?
I use them every time. Anytime I do a reading, I always have tarot. Mostly I'll have oracle cards to enhance the reading, and I like to pull runes too.
Oh, okay. Now, do you give yourself readings?
Yes. I like to give myself readings. I have to know what I'm up to. I think, it's such a good question because I know quite a few people who do read tarot cards as well. And so many of them say, can you give me a reading? It's so hard to read for yourself. And I get that. I understand why that is. But I think it's because you have to have a level of concentration to be able to actually separate, it's going to sound a little strange, but separate yourself from the information you're looking for. Because, otherwise our ego is just going to impose upon what we want to hear good news, we're going to give ourselves good news.
But that's a good exercise, though. It's a good exercise to tell yourself that, to maintain that separation, to look at it as a third person.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important for you. That's a good exercise for you because as you sharpen that line for yourself, you'll be able to sharpen that line for others.
That's true, absolutely. One of the first tarot card readings that I ever did on myself certainly taught me that for sure. And it was a very heavy subject matter. I don't know my biological dad, so I hit a point in my life where I was very troubled, and that was really where my tarot card reading started, actually. And I decided to ask my cards the story. What's the story? What's the missing story of my life? What's this piece that I don't know?
Yeah.
And I thought I was a little bit crazy, honestly, because I didn't know if I was telling myself a story that I wanted to hear or was it true. And so I remember spending a lot of time that day, and I got this detailed storyline, and I just sat back and I said, it could be true. I don't know if it is. I'm new at this, but I think it's true. And every so often, maybe once a year, I actually pull that same reading again, and I ask myself if these impressions still feel right, or if I maybe, am getting something new. And there's usually new information, but the storyline doesn't change.
You revisit.
I do. I do that often. I really do.
Yeah, it's a nice check-in as to
I
what's
always
going on.
do, yeah. Yep, and I like to do it for other people too. If they, if they come to me for readings, something that you and I have talked about, Kathy, is that we're channeling when we're doing our readings. So it's once it's done, the door closes, and we're like, okay, how was it? What did we talk about?
Yeah.
And people will say things like, remember when you told me this was going to happen? I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I did. I don't always remember the details,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I do. With my own, I keep a journal.
Okay.
That helps.
That's good.
It helps me to remember
It's
things.
good practice.
Yeah, it's all about practice, just like yoga.
So when did you realize that you were more effective by going into that, again, separating the
Yeah.
ego, that third person, looking
Yeah.
at it from the third person,
Yep.
when you were actually going into trance? Or when did you realize that that was your,
That's what was happening.
your strong card?
That's a good question. It took a long time before I actually recognized that. I've become such a stronger energy reader than I ever was before. I can just kind of like scan the room and sort of pick up on what role each person is playing, what kind of energy they're holding, what maybe they were dealing with just before they came in, that kind of thing. So as that has strengthened, my ability to even look at myself that way
Right.
is so much better.
I just had a laugh when you said what role each person is
Yeah,
playing, because
what
we
roles?
all change the role that we're playing, different dynamics, different people we
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah.
On our
That's very-
comfort levels.
Right.
Like coming here, of course, I've never done a television show. I'm not someone who sits under lights, but I am familiar with being on stage. So it would be easy to assume that I might be uncomfortable because of those bits. That doesn't really make me uncomfortable, but what does make me uncomfortable is talking about my abilities, because talking about them makes me feel sometimes like I'm bragging in some way, or even that it's not going to be easily understood, I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, everyone is capable of doing this, but
Agreed.
it does take a lot of practice
Yeah.
to refine it and to get rid of the rubbish that that we pick up sometimes,
Yeah, the
like the
baggage.
ego,
Yes, exactly.
and baggage, the old baggage.
Yep. Exactly. I definitely get that ego piece with tarot card reading, for sure. When I do a reading for people, I like to, it's taken a long time, like you said about practice, to get to the point of knowing what's the right amount of time to read for, what's the right formula of setting up your cards to deliver a message, factoring and leaving some room for just intuitive pieces to come through, and then taking whatever background knowledge we have. Whether it's, for me, there's a lot of information that I know about astrology or Kabbalah, or about just energy healing, and I like to incorporate that into what I'm sharing with the person I'm reading for. So a lot of what I've had to do over the years is figure out how to best communicate with whomever I'm sitting and reading for.
Yeah, well, I know the guides can, especially the angels,
Yep.
can best work with you if you know a lot of different things, because they
Yeah.
can communicate with you better.
Right.
If they can't get the message through numerology, they might get it through astrology.
Exactly. That's
You know,
so true.
and
That is true.
that's why I'm a class junkie.
Oh, you like to learn a lot.
Yes.
Me too. I definitely like to read a ton of things. I like to read about things that I find challenging to understand, even if it's physics.
Well, like Kabbalah.
Like Kabbalah, I did several years I studied Kabbalah, And it really helped me.
It's challenging.
It's challenging. And I coupled it with learning about meditation, deep meditation. I went all the way back to, the Free Thinkers Library, and I just started reading for free, because it's online, just the old materials, like Wallace Wattles, back in the late 1800s, and just writers like that. And the Master Key system was how I learned how to meditate. And I took it so to heart. Like, there was nobody there saying, you have to learn this, or your assignment is due on such and such date, time to take a test. But like you said, I was driven to achieve it.
Well, I found doing it that way is very good, but I learn a little better when I'm taking a class and I don't, and it keeps me
engaged.
Because I know that there's going to be another class, and I'm going to want to absorb that and put it all together at
Something
one
that
point.
has a continuation.
Yeah.
Which I experienced that with the Kabbalah. It was hard teaching myself to read tarot cards, because even though, there's books and literature out there, but how we really learn is to meet a person and have the courage to say, I can do this thing and it might be helpful to you, and will you share this experience with me? Will you let me put out some cards that might expose something about you, but might also allow us to engage in a healing conversation? And I always come away from it feeling like in some way they were healed, because like you said earlier, your guides are using whatever background knowledge you've gained to sort of give you the platform to reach that person. I totally believe that.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you start reading the cards, and how did you get interested in that?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people who've met me think I just have done this my whole life. So prepare yourself for what is probably a totally boring story, but somewhat interesting anyway. I've always been around people who had abilities. I never realized that my mom's crystal ball actually meant something to her, and that she did astral traveling, and that she had premonition dreams just like I was having as a child. I never realized that I wasn't the only person in my family who was, like this, basically. Nobody talked about it. We didn't talk about it. It was a big secret. And so when I was in high school, I had a tarot card reading. It was very random. A woman I knew, she said, let me read your cards. I said, okay, I didn't know what it was. She read my cards. I was just about to go into college. I had a scholarship. It was a very good time for me. It was 1992, if that helps you to know like the energies that were happening in 1992. And she made all these predictions, and I didn't know if any of it was going to be real, and I'll be darned if not every single bit of it actually happened. And I always thought about that. I said, wow, she really tuned into me, like she really got it. And so I was always interested in it. And family and friends of mine, cousins, believe it or not, one time my cousin came to my house. It was 2008. And she just walked in the back door and she's like, hi, I was cleaning the basement and I found these tarot cards and I thought of you. And I was like, oh, cool. And they just sat on my table and I would not touch them. I would not touch them. I believed touching them was somehow bad. That I didn't how dare I touch those cards, So I just kept looking at them and I never touched them. And a few months passed. This all happened in 2008. It's bizarre. A few months passed. I'm at the bookstore with my stepdaughter and we're waiting in line to make our purchases. And once we get out to the parking lot, she reaches into the bag and she pulls out this like mini tarot card set. And she says, here, I got you this gift. I thought of you when I saw these. And I was like, this is just getting weird. Why is everybody giving me tarot cards?
Past life connections.
Really?
And they are people, yeah, that's an interesting point. I'll have to analyze that one. Yeah, so I felt slightly pushed. And I don't know if it was boredom or I was doing the other things that I was trying to grow spiritually, and I was asking for guidance. And then I just said, okay, I'll just try. And then people would see me, just playing with the cards. And next thing you know, everybody was just coming to me and asking me to read them and then telling me it was accurate. And it just took off from there.
All right, so if someone wanted a reading, how can they get a reading from you?
I like to be found on the internet. I love Facebook. I go by what I call my pen name, the Lilac Broom. It was a name that my best friend actually came up with, and so I created a YouTube channel, and I also call that the Lilac Broom. I have a blog, I call that the Lilac Broom. A lot of marketing happening here.
Yeah.
And Instagram, the Lilac Broom. A lot of those will have information to direct you to my Etsy page, which is where people can book readings. And
what's your direct Etsy link?
So it's etsy.com/shop, and then it's Glam Simple Boutique.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that I do some crafting, spiritual items like candles that are oil scented, and eye
candles are nice.
pillows. Do you like my candle?
And eye pillow too, though.
Oh, good. Yeah, I find spiritual people tend to get headaches.
Yes, yes, we do.
And we tend to gravitate towards crafts that we find along the way.
Yes, that is so true.
I've done the candles and
Yeah.
the oils and flower essences.
Yeah.
And I've tried a lot of things.
Yeah, well, a good friend of mine told me maybe I should start making things. And so I started making spiritual jewelry, and I just dabbled with a bunch of things.
Something similar.
Very
Tourmaline.
similar. Wow, your
Black
ring is
tourmaline.
gorgeous. That is a
thank you.
pink sapphire, isn't it?
Yes, but it's not, it's synthetic.
It's gorgeous, though.
But it's so pretty, I don't care.
No, it's lovely. Yeah.
Now, there's something else that you do, though, right?
Well, I recently became a Reiki master, and it's been a huge shift in my energy. Huge. In fact, it's overwhelming, honestly. You know, I feel really, really sensitive to people, to the point where I feel like it's really made a huge shift in my personal life. It's affected every part of my life. I decided to leave.
Everything that you come in touch with?
Yes, literally, I can't. I don't even want to
Yes.
touch anything,
Right.
right? Can anybody explain that to me? Like, why is this happening?
Resonance. It's all resonance.
Yeah, we're at a higher vibration, though, so we tend to be more sensitive to things,
Oh, yeah.
inanimate objects, so we tend to know the energy of it already, though, too.
Yes.
So, what year did you take your first level Reiki?
It was about a year ago from
Okay.
now, so.
Okay.
I did Reiki 1, I think, a year ago, and then I waited a year before I
Yeah.
did Reiki 2.
Okay, yeah. And then,
As you know.
Yes.
Your name is on my certification.
Well, I was trying to remember because it's been so long now,
Yeah.
though. So I know you did Reiki 2 and became a Reiki master teacher earlier this year.
Yes.
So I know there was a big release, so a lot of big changes, especially with Reiki level 2 and then
Yeah.
the master teacher level with you.
Yeah, it really was.
So,
It was huge. And I also got the Monai key rights
Yes, you
with
did.
you. And I feel like that really spearheaded off all the changes this
Yeah.
year. So that's been, I would say, the last 7 or 8 months.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
the journey I've been on. And it's just basically tipped my world upside down.
Yeah, so the monarchy rights, though, it's a set of 9 rights where you get, they call it, you initiate into the 9 rights.
Right.
And there's like feminine energy, elder energy, masculine energy with that. This starseed energy, which most people recognize as alien energy. And then the 9th right that you get enables you to pass this forward to other students as well. It's different than Reiki, where you don't give sessions of Reiki to people, to students, to clients, excuse me. But it's more of a shamanic energy type of class where you're working on you, and then you're able to pass this on to others as well, though, too. And then I believe you got the 13th right as well, though, too, the right of the womb.
Exactly.
Yes, so that doesn't follow the lineage of the original 9 rights. But because it was received by a different individual than the original 9, right? So where it's the womb energy, where there's been a lot of trauma over the years of staying away from the feminine energy, and then so we're going back to where equalizing the masculine and the feminine energy. So men can receive the 13th right as well, though, too. So to be able to pass it on as well, though, too, though. So that's a really nice
great.
ceremony, though, too.
Yeah.
With the 13 candles and the water for the 13th.
I
right?
loved it. I thought it was terrific.
Yeah.
You should put a warning on your class, though. The minute you leave here, your life is going to change dramatically. I mean, you did say, you kind of whispered it in my ear, and I was like, thanks, Kathy, bye. And and then my life went upside down. But, you know.
Yeah, but it went right side up again, though.
How has it affected your family life?
The Reiki?
Yes, and
the monarchy.
And the monarchy.
Actually, you're right. It has affected my family life tremendously. I think my family has seen a huge shift in me where I'm a lot less anxious and a lot less uptight. I've always been this sort of high energy businesswoman, you know, buzzing into the house with the suit and the suit briefcase and just like trying to get dinner and trying to deal with the children. And it wasn't spiritual. It was just a lot of intense energy, like I've got to do this, I've got to provide for my family. So I think that they're starting to see me sort of come home, kick my shoes off, walk outside and walk in the grass and start talking to my plants. And kind of like hovering over my cat and the dog and
with the Reiki energy.
Yeah, and then saying, oh, his hip is bothering him. Let's get him some, glucosamine in his dinner. And I don't know. I just think that they feel like it's more calm now because I sort of set the energy in the house to be a little bit calmer. And it's also influenced them. My daughter is a card reader. She's done some work with Kathy as well. I'd like her to take Reiki. She'd be great at it. She should do it. And my son, actually, he started talking to me about what the animals are saying to him. And it's been really fascinating. It's not prompted whatsoever. And he's just, I don't know, there's something special going on there for sure. He doesn't like to talk about it. I guess he gets that from Mom. But, it's there, and he'll tell me.
What happens just before the breakthrough of opening up.
Yeah, he's 13.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a lot of physical stuff going on with him right now, though, too.
Yes,
With adolescence.
all kinds of 13-year-old things going on with this child.
Yeah.
But, my husband is very supportive with it.
That's excellent.
For sure, he is supportive. And you'll be proud of me, Kathy, because now I've gotten in the habit of when I come home saying, do you need some Reiki for that?
That is awesome.
My daughter has appendicitis, and I said, do you need some Reiki for that? My husband just had a surgery on his arm, and I said, do you want some Reiki for that? And it's funny because they don't answer. They always say no. And I'm like, okay.
Well, on the soul level, if they accept it, though, then
they
they'll
do
receive the
accept it.
energy.
They want to feel better.
Yeah.
I kind of use different language, like, do you want to feel better? I might be able to make you feel better, because I've always felt like I had an ability to touch people or talk to them and heal them and make them better when they leave me.
Yeah.
So
just to touch someone on the,
and I do it all the time now.
An uninvasive part of them, like their shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, the healing out of touch, just simple, innocent touch, shoulders, hands, holding hands, hugging, holding space.
So I guess you guys wouldn't think it was weird that I recently quit my stressful property management job to work at a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
To work at a nursing home because I simply love
Just get a little practice, huh?
He gets me. You get it. You might be the first person who has really got that. Thank you.
I'm a Reiki master as well, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. I love it. I've had, so far I've had a resident who came in the other day, and she was very, help me, one of those kind, very anxious. So I figured out what she likes, and I come over and I touch her softly, and I talk to her gently, and I tell her she's safe and she's here with me and I'm not far and I just need to go take care of someone else. And I think, even my coworkers have told me, they're like, the residents here love you. And it's just so wonderful to actually feel connected. This is a first for me, honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing though when it's someone knows on the soul level what they need, but they can't always explain on the physical level.
That's a good point, especially the elderly or people who are nonverbal or even autistic.
Even young children though, too.
And young children, animals, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like you said, when I can just walk into a room and sort of know who needs what and who needs me to leave them alone. Don't get too close. It's prickly. Yeah, they're prickly. I like that word. That's true. I used to be prickly, But I think whoever, you know, when somebody decided to put tarot cards in my hand, it just sort of opened the door.
Well, you know that was Spirit doing that.
Yeah.
You know, Spirit was definitely intervening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of the source who they were given to me by are people who don't even ask for tarot card readings. They have nothing to do with it. It has to be what you said, you know, about a soul connection. And
Yeah.
Right.
very interesting. I learned a lot today.
So how can people get a hold of you again?
It's easiest to find me on Facebook as Lilac Broom. And I actually make monthly tarot videos. I do like an energy check-in by astrological sign. Yes, I'm one of those. But I love my channel, and so do some of my friends and family. So I'm going to keep doing it. And that's on YouTube.
And it gets the word out.
Yeah, I guess it does. You know, I'm not waiting for the phone to ring or for people to like knock down my door and be like, hey, I need a tarot reading. But
It's showing people that there is energy out there that's available to help you.
Yep.
And you, as a recipient, can also be a practitioner.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, some people might be more comfortable having a tarot card reading than having a Reiki treatment. And I think that's why the variety is wonderful.
Well, right, the different modalities that you use is still an opportunity for spirit to express itself.
Yep.
And whether it's, you know, you're giving a full body Reiki treatment or you're making the connection with their mental through a tarot card.
Right, right.
You know?
That's true. It is a little bit mental.
Or even if you can't do the full body tarot reading, just holding their hand,
Yeah.
you know, and
Holding that space.
allowing gentle energy to flow through.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm certainly working on that at my new job.
Yeah, holding
Right.
that space though is so important.
That's it right
so
there.
easy to do.
Holding that
You're
space.
holding space, yeah.
Because you can step up your own vibration without even having to touch the person.
Oh.
Yeah.
And as you start to radiate that vibration, it goes out. And that
That's
person
awesome.
will start to resonate with your resonance, and then they will start to shift.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do try to remain positive all
Yeah.
the time.
And even if you don't notice changes, there's such joy in giving. And
Yeah.
you know you're giving loving energy.
Yeah. I do think about that all day long now. It's been a big change, like I said. Yep.
Yeah, because like, you know, it gets to a point where you read for people and you do, you know, you offer Reiki for others, and like you know what you did for that person. You know,
Absolutely.
and you don't have to like, you know, spread it out to the world. It's like, hey, this is what I did. Look at me. So you know what you did at the end of the day, and that's what matters. Like, you know, you helped that person at the end of the day.
That's true.
And you know it's not just coming from you, it's coming from beyond you, from
Yeah.
a greater
channel.
place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're just about finished with the show. Thank you for being with me, Bill. Thank you for being with me, Kathy.
Thank you.
And thank you for being our guest. Is there anything you would like to tell the audience about how you've evolved?
How I've evolved, I would say, I just want to tell people that they can do it. You know, they can do the same thing I've done.
Right.
Just because I appear to have come from a family where there was a foundation of spiritual work, you know, maybe there was just a baseline energy of being able to connect with spiritual things, doesn't mean that anybody can't change their lives and go in that direction, and just to be brave and do it.
Yeah, all we have to do is just try it and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Open that door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever we need, though, will come when we need it.
Agreed.
And when we're looking for it.
Yeah, you can't force it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to hold space for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it will always come though when it's divinely timed though. Sometimes the divine spirit don't know better than we do. So
I love it when you say something. This is one of mine. When you say something to somebody and you say, Now, where did I get that from?
Where did that come from? I don't know
happens
where
quite
this
often.
is coming from, but here you go. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
You kind of hear yourself saying
Yes.
something.
It's like, this isn't coming from either, but the words come out of my mouth. But
It sounded so right, but where did it come from?
I've never used that word before. I don't even know what it means. Does it mean something to you? And it does.
Yeah.
It does.
oh my goodness, yeah.
I